Hello, everybody. It's Jason Up's New Age Revolutionist, The Cave. And we're once again going to step back in time with an episode of Hey, Do You Remember? But first I've got to make a call here. I think I'm going to call my best pal. On this here telephone. And I'm going to stand about a foot from the wall because that's about as far as I can go. And when I get done talking to him on this here phone, I'm going to go sit over there on the couch so that I can make another call in comfort right here on the couch and sit here for like an hour and talk to my pal. After I do that, then we'll talk about, hey, do you remember some of the most primitive forms of communication, folks? That's right, I'm talking about the textless, Facebook lists, Instagram lists, Discord lists, Snapchat lists, 80s, where our communication was in the form of a telephone, dialing the numbers to speak to our best pal. And if we weren't home, the phone would ring and ring and ring and ring until your dad decided to get one of these things, an answering machine. Hey, do you remember using the phone?
Bet you're glad the brothers finally went away to school. Yeah. You get his room, his bike, and everything. What a deal. Yeah. And just think, nobody will call you Peeper anymore. Yeah. David, your brother's on the phone. He wants to talk to you. Ronnie? Me? Oh, boy. Hi, Ronnie.
Hey, Peeper. How you doing, kid?
When a faraway voice sounds as close as you feel, that's reach out and touch someone. That's AT&T.
Yeah, okay, well, I better go now because I got to do this YouTube thing. Oh, don't worry, you'll figure that out in 35 years. And then if you were really mad at somebody, you would just hang the phone up in their ear like that. That's right, folks, the telephone, our connection, our bridge to our social life when we weren't at school, when we weren't at the sleepover, when we weren't hanging out with our friends at their house. The telephone was our way of communicating with them. We did not text them, hey, what you up to? With all kinds of memes and emojis and abbreviations and LOLs and crap like that. We didn't have that. No, we actually had to make sure that our friend was home, or we had to hope that our friend was home. We had to know their phone number. It may have been written down on a piece of paper in our room somewhere. If we were lucky enough, our parents had an address book and they would write down our friend's phone number in the address book. Worst case scenario, our friend might be in the telephone book. That's right, we had one of those things. And a listing, an anti-privacy book that actually stored and displayed and published everybody's address and phone number. Now, obviously, that's all available online. But back then, you were in the book. If you didn't have somebody's phone number, you just looked them up in the book. And I think you had to pay to not be in the phone book. You didn't have to pay to be in the phone book. I think you had to pay to not be in the phone book back in the day. So most people were just automatically in the phone book because they never took the time or they didn't have the knowledge that you had to pay to not be listed. You were an unlisted number. If you didn't have a phone book, you'd pick up your phone, you'd dial 0, which you were told not to do as a kid. You would simply dial 0. Operator would come up and you'd say, yeah, can I have the number for my friend Howie? And the operator would somehow find that magical number. Then as the years progressed, 0 turned into what? 411, where you could ask for a phone number or an address of a business. But so you had to hope that your friend was home. You had to find some privacy or not. How many conversations did we have with our friends in front of our parents? Because there was nowhere else for us to go. You might have had some room with the cord. I remember our kitchen phone in one of our houses Our kitchen phone was by the basement stairs, and my room was in the basement. So you could take the phone, and it had like a 30-foot cord, and you could, which, you know, over the years turns into like a 70-foot cord. You could take that phone. I would take the phone cord down the stairs and then like into a side room, and I would just sit on the phone down there. But if you didn't have that cord, you were right here. And even prior to the 80s, you know, I think most phones, this was it. So if you were making a call, this was it. This is all you had. You better hope that your parents are in the other room. You better hope that your brothers and sisters aren't messing with you. Or else you're just not going to have a private phone call. Unless you got older. And what was one of the biggest things? What was one of the biggest milestones of a kid's life? A telephone in their room. That was one of the biggest milestones of a kid's life. You get the TV in your room, you get the telephone in your room. That changes the game. Now you can have extremely private conversations right in your room. Nobody has a clue, right? But prior to that, you were out in public. You were out with curious ears all around you, listening to everything. So you know what you did? You didn't talk long. You didn't sit on the phone for hours and hours. I mean, there were certainly times that I did that, but for the most part, a phone call was just a quick check-in. What are you doing? And, you know, can we get together? Can we play? That's for the kids. Remember when your mom was on the phone for hours at a time? Your moms for some, dads were never on the phone. Dads never used the phone. I'm not sure my dad knew how to use the phone. Dads never used the phone. Moms would talk for hours. Moms would master the art of multitasking while being on the phone, cooking dinner, cleaning the children, you know, watering the lawn, feeding the dog, all while they're talking to their pal, to their friend, to the neighbor on the phone, gossiping for hours, recapping the soap operas. What are you having for dinner tonight? That kind of deal. My mom, I remember, was always on the phone. And then that's the time that we would ask her for stuff. You know, we would try to get, hey, can we stay up like a half hour extra tonight? And she's on the phone. And back in the 80s, it would, I guess you couldn't just say, hold on a minute, I have to kill my kid. You didn't do that. You went like this. That's what you did when you were on the phone. Even if it was grandma on the other end, you couldn't just go, hang on a second. These idiots, hang on. You didn't do that. You didn't do that. You just, you know, fine, stay up, go. And then they get off the phone and they have no memory that they told you that you could stay up a half hour, but you've you know, it's over at that point. You've already won the battle. Then at some point, one of these things came out, right? The cordless phone. This changes life. This changes life. Now you're walking completely around the house with this thing. Remember when you would get further away from the antenna, from the receiver, the base of the cordless phone? What would happen? The phone would whistle at you. It would get staticky, and it would like get this high-pitched whistle as you got further away from the antenna. But this, remember, did you ever challenge this? Did you ever take this outside with you and walk around your backyard and be like, I'm in the backyard, and can you hear me? I'm in the backyard. Oh, you can't. Then you gotta walk closer to the house. You would push the limits. You would break the record. You would think that you just accomplished some kind of, you know, Guinness World Record feat if you could just stretch this just maybe a little bit further into the backyard. The cordless phone. Call waiting changed our lives. Remember call waiting? What did we say about call waiting? We said, I have a beep. You know, we never set up someone's on the other line, or, oh, my call waiting is ringing. We would say, hang on, I got a beep. Remember? That was always what we said. Hang on, I got a beep. Hang on, I got a beep. Or, hang on, I got another call. But it was always, hang on, I got a beep. You click over, hang on, I got a beep. You click over, right? Yeah, I'm talking to Howie. Yeah, all right, I'll call you back. Boop, click back over. Yeah, we're good. I got rid of them. Because I got a beep. I had to answer the beep. If you didn't answer the beep, if you had call waiting and you didn't answer the beep, whoever was calling you was furious at you because they know that there's absolutely no excuse for you not to pick up the phone now because there's no more busy signal, right? Busy signals, I think call waiting was a good thing. I think busy signals drove a lot of people to homicide. I think busy signals are probably one of the worst things. And you know what? In 2024, we still get an occasional busy signal on our cell phones. It's not that same busy signal. It's just a high-pitched beep. But if I call a business and they only have like one line, and they're living in the dark ages, I actually get a busy signal. Sometimes when we call the pizza place in town, I get a busy signal if all the lines are tied up, and I don't know what to do with it. I don't know how to manage that in my mind. I don't know how to adjust to the busy signal. So I'm just like, what's going on? What do you mean there's a busy signal? Now, that busy signal in 2024 usually lasts about 25 seconds. I mean, realistically, it's an extremely short busy signal. In 1984, that busy signal could be hours. If you were trying to call and you got busy signal for hours, you were losing your mind. And on a few rare occasions, you would do the unthinkable. What was the unthinkable in 1985 when you got a busy signal? You would call the operator and have her break the line. I can't tell you how many times I was forced, I was put in a position where I wanted to actually break the line, but did not have the nerve to do so. And it's only happened a couple of times. I remember, and this is on me, this is totally my fault. I was at my aunt's house, my dad's sister. My dad was working nights. We were sleeping over my dad's, and I was having my aunt call all the department stores in the area to see if they had the LJNs in stock that I needed, whoever it was. So she'd get off the phone, we'd have the phone book there, we'd go to toys, and she'd scroll down and we'd call this one and we'd call that. Well, at one point she's on the phone with Toys R Us or whatever, and she's on hold while the person who answered the phone walks through the store, goes to the aisle, finds what, and then comes back. So that could be a 10-minute wait, right? Well, the operator broke the line because my dad had burned his foot while at work. He worked at Kodak, and he burned his foot and he was on the way to the hospital. So we had to break the line, and my aunt wanted to kill me because, I was making her call around for wrestling figures, and my dad was, near death. Not really. But breaking the line, that was a big deal. If your parent had to break the line, you were dead. Right? If they were out for the night and you were on the phone with Howie for 2-3 hours at a time, which absolutely could happen, and your parents had to break the line, you're done. You're finished. You should consider running away because you are in trouble. The things that happened on the phone to us as kids are memories that are just etched in our brain forever. The relationships that we created, the relationships that we lost, all happened on the phone. And I even have memories of the phone well into the 90s. Of course, I have memories of the phone well into the 90s. After the cell phone, I didn't care about phones anymore. But I remember a lot of interesting phone calls taking place at that point on the cordless phone in my apartment when I'm 20 years old. Because that's when voicemail would come in. So I'm at my friend's, I'm waiting for somebody special to call. I'm checking my voicemail 30 or 40 times that night to see if I've got a voicemail. And I could remember the voicemail. So voicemail replaces the answering machine, obviously. We'll talk about this real quick in a minute. Voicemail replaces the answering machine. And I remember exactly the woman's voice when you'd have a voicemail. You'd call it up, you'd have to dial into your phone, put in your code, and then she'd go, "You have one new message." And you're like, yes. And it's, it's your lady fair that is finally calling you. But I would wait for that. You're on pins and needles, your heart's beating. You have no new messages, and you're crushed, you're deflated, you're destroyed. You have one new message. Oh, life-changing. Prior to that, we had the answering machine, and I remember the answering machine outgoing message was probably one of the most important things that you could do. You had to put, you had to make an impact on the voicemail message, on the answering machine message. You had to come up with something. In fact, in the 80s, it almost became, well, it didn't almost became, it became a thing. It became like pop culture to have a creative answering machine. So you'd always have these goofballs that are like, hello, oh, you thought it was me, but it's just my machine. Leave a message after the beep. So you'd get these real hip, people who came up with these creative answering machines, right? Then you had the cool ones that were like, you know what to do, beep. I remember 90210, Beverly Hills 90210. Dylan, the coolest guy in the world, Dylan's answering machine was, you know what to do. And then that was the message. The phone, folks, like I said, relationships began and ended on the phone. Remember the first time talking to a girl or fella, whatever you're into? Do you remember the first time talking to a girl at 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night? It was probably the best feeling in the world. Having a girl call your house, talking to her, hopefully in the privacy of your bedroom, but talking for hours on the phone. Remember, we stayed up. It was such a like a definition of the relationship. We talked all night. We were on the phone from midnight to 3 a.m., midnight to 4 a.m. You felt like you were madly in love at that point, that you could talk to somebody for 5 hours on the phone. Great stuff. Stuff that's just locked in there. Stuff that, again, you don't forget. And that's why I have these things. That's why I have 2 or 3 phones around this room, because I just look at them and I can go back in time and remember some of the things that happened on that phone. That is all. I got to take a call. We'll see you next time. Good night now.